Well, what's good, class? We're back with motion graphics and we're going to do a paint tutorial today, so check it out. Alright, some cool looking neon paint, prevalent in a lot of commercials. Let's get to it. Okay, so you're going to go to File, Import File, and grab that video I sent you and drop that in the comp icon, make a new comp. And you're gonna grab the work area and you're gonna trim that down to like 6 seconds. And let's go trim comp to work area. And now the whole comp should be 6 seconds. Cool. Alright, so let's get to it. You're gonna go to paint. And if you don't see that, go to your window and open paint. Then you're gonna grab your brush tool. And you click on it and it says you got to open it in layer, so that's okay. You got to double click that layer and then it's going to isolate that layer. Remember, new tab in your comp. And from here, let me make this a little larger and fit the zoom. From here, if you see you got the brush tool set in, you can pick a color. I'll just choose a basic white, 90%. The mode is normal RGB. You can change the duration from constant to right on, single frame, custom. Constant will be on the entire time. Single frame will be 1 frame. Custom, you can change it from 1 to 2 frames. I'll just leave it at 1. Okay, so you can hold down, let's see, Control or Command on a Mac and drag the mouse, click and drag the mouse and get a different brush size. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start at frame 0. And I mean, you might want to play back your video to see what she does, but I'm going to draw some basic rings, and these are not perfect by any means. In fact, the less perfect probably the better. And I'm going to go 1 frame at a time. So this is technically rotoing. I can either use the preview option, or I can press page up, page down to go frame by frame, or control right arrow, control left arrow. To go 1 frame at a time. And what happens is I'm just going to constantly paint on every frame these 2 rings around her hand, and that's it. Everybody gets an 8. No, I'm kidding. Alright, so basically this process is kind of just utilized over and over, and that's really how you get this effect. There's really no other way around it. You could actually implement some shape layers too, of course, but this is traditionally how it's done. And then we wrap around her head. So I'm going to say when the hand gets to the head, I'm going to wrap it around her entire body. And it does make sense to play back your video a few times just to know what your character or object are actually doing, so you can get a sense of where you want to draw things. For those of you who are animators, this probably seems very familiar to you, as far as, this is the traditional cell animation process as well, rotoing frame by frame. Alright, so let me go ahead and, I guess the rings kind of flow from her hand to her head to her other hand, around the elbow. And from there, I guess I'll let it stay there for a bit and travel to the hand. Now remember, I'm just painting every frame I see, and the computer is going to record every one of these I do. So if you don't like it, just undo it and go back. But you know what? Think of this as almost like a flip book you used to draw when you're a kid on like a notepad. Basically, it's almost like, drawing at a stick figure level difficulty. But like I said, this is pretty trendy and popular at the moment. You've seen it in videos like music videos from Bruno Mars to Justin Bieber, and see it in tons of commercials. Okay, so I'm gonna say after her hand waves off to the side, she's going to let this sound wave off. So I'm gonna draw this animated circle getting larger and larger by each frame. And then maybe there's some more rings that come from underneath and they go back up. I'm basically just drawing the same two rings over and over. And it's kind of more of a technical process, this one. So I guess from here you get the idea. I'm just going to, fast forward a little bit the rest of the process. And you can tell it's the same thing, right? Every frame gets a new drawing. And you can play it back and see that it's working. Yep. Oh. Got that hand wave going. Oh, pass it to the other hand. What you gonna do now? Let's go up to the sign, come back down, get some more energy, and let's play it back and see what it do. Yeah, I guess we'll just keep spinning, so I'll just finish it off like it's just this spiritual energy that people have when they dance. That's what these rings symbolize. I think I went too far, actually. Yeah, okay, so we're good. Alright, so let's play it back really quick. And let it and preview. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's the basic gist down. So from there, nothing else is really new. It's just really getting acquainted with this paint tool, and if you want to add more layers to it. So what I like to do is, once I go once from forward to back, I'm going to change the brush size, something smaller, and then I'm going to work backwards. Not on every frame, but any frame that I want some smaller little streaks. And these streaks will actually take on a different color if I add some glow later, so keep that in mind. And all of a sudden, she's got the force electricity like Palpatine. Alright, so I'm fast forwarding this as well, and I'm just adding single streaks here. And you can add anything you want that can be drawn, really. This is a lot like your traditional animation here. So maybe right here I'll write yo, and I'll write it a few times until she waves it off, and then we'll see how that looks. Don't forget to save as well. Yeah, alright, file save. Alright, so let's see it. Okay, so I'm gonna go to effect here. Make sure, if you don't see this, go to window and make sure this is checked. Real quick, I want to explain something. So when you're painting this on, it's gonna be in your effects portion of the layer, and I can click this check, paint on transparent, and that'll just put it on an alpha channel. So the reason why that's helpful is because, say I wanted to give it color, I generate a fill in effect. It's gonna fill the entire video, and I don't want that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this video layer, and the one underneath, I'm gonna remove the paint effect, and the one on top, I'm going to keep the paint effect and check the paint on transparent. Alright, everybody got that? Rewind if you need to catch that one more time. Okay, I'll turn the volume off since it has no volume. Okay, so the layer on top gets the paint, and I check paint on transparent. Good, it's got an alpha channel. The layer on bottom doesn't have any paint on it. Okay, so now if I add a fill to the top layer, it's only going to change the color of those rings because it's on the transparency now. So that is how we're going to adjust the color of just the rings. Alright, so something else you can add, maybe some glow if you want, stylized glow. And I'll take the, I guess, threshold and radius. Take the radius, mix it around, that looks good. You know, and this is all in the eye of the beholder. Change the color of the fill again, just so I can see I want to see some difference in color with the thickness of those lines. So take the threshold, change that a little. And I think now, let me get the radius right there. I think now if I play this back, the thinner streaks are going to be more saturated and the thicker ones are going to have more light. So kind of like a lightsaber in a way. Alright, so that is okay. Maybe just a small adjustment of the, yeah, that's going to give me more saturation. Alright, that part looks pretty good, I would say. I guess we can do a little bit of color correcting to the entire image here, or excuse me, composition. So I'm just going to collapse all those, go to layer, new adjustment layer. This will be my color correcting layer, and let's see what I should add. I go to color correction. I guess I should add a curves and take the middle part. Midtones brighter. Oops, don't want to check that down. Let me undo that. I want to take the shadows a little darker, and midtones, yeah, that's okay. Let me also change the channel from RGB to green. Let me pull the green up a little bit. Yeah. So I want to make this look like it's a tungsten film. And let me add a tint. I'll map the black to purple, magenta. Map the white to, actually, you know what? I should do this the other way. Let me map the white to the magenta, so the bright spots are more warm, and the blacks to the green. Take the tint amount down. Yeah. So you can really see the difference if you toggle on and off. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Maybe just bring out some saturation there. So I'm going to go to Effect, Color Correction, Hue, Saturation. And instead of the master saturation, I'll choose reds, and I'll make that more saturated. That's good. Really brings out the skin tone too. Let me grab the magenta and try to do the same and see if I get any luck. Yeah, not really. It's all good. Okay, that's cool. Maybe last thing, I'll just add a little bit of grain to this to make it look like film. No, it isn't grain. Add grain. Yeah. So I'm going to choose final output on the preview, and then I'm going to choose a preset to, let's say, Eastman 100 tungsten. Tungsten is an indoor light that's supposed to look more cool, blue. And the funny thing is, if you shoot it outdoor, it actually has this weird effect. So outdoor film should be D, not T, but yeah, that's for any photography heads out there. Alright, so let's create some text here and make this part of a title sequence. So I'm going to create 2 pieces of text. And one thing you want to keep in mind when you're writing text of any kind, any typography, is contrast. You really want to make the type stand out from its background, or for lack of a better word, pop, because the audience really needs to be able to read it. So you gotta look out for the background. If this is too light right there or too dark, you gotta change the color, or add some drop shadow, or add a glow or something around it. Make it larger. Yeah, so that, I think her name is Eve Kirpichnovic or something. I got this video off videopexels.com. I'll make that a little wider, and I should probably make the starring a little bit darker since the background is so, it blends in too much. Yeah. And parent that one to that one, because I'm going to actually animate it. Oh, before I animate it, let me go to effects and presets, animation presets, text. Let me go to animate in. Let me grab smooth movement, slow fade in. Let me grab that one and throw that onto my layers here. Actually, let me go back to 0 frames and then do it. Yeah. I'm gonna drag and drop them, and what that's gonna do is if I double click and press U, I can see my keyframes. I created keyframes for a fade in for me. So all of those presets in the animate in category will do something like that. So you can try them all if you want, doesn't matter. Of course, you could have just animated the opacity too. And you can move those keyframes, whatever you want to do, customize it. Alright, so now I got some cool motion graphics on the text with some fade-ins, at least. Let me try to animate its position a little bit, and I guess I'll, that's looking pretty good. Looking somewhat professional, like it could be the beginning of a show or something like that. And yeah, let me wrap that up. Let me go back to my character tool. Yeah, let me make that darker. Alright, let's see what we should do. Really, everything now is really just customizing, so really don't have to do all of this. I'm gonna create a position keyframe. I'm going to animate that to move right to left just a tad bit, just so that there's a little bit of motion and it's not just a graphic, since the class is technically motion graphics. Yeah? Did you catch that one? Okay. So yeah, you can see the starring part is actually moving a little, just giving some sort of movement. Yeah, I could do that with the other type as well, or I could just call it a day. Let's see. I guess I'll do a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. It's these subtleties, really. These subtleties and the attention to detail. Getting the contrast right, the size right, the position right, the scaling and opacity right. That's going to make a world of difference as far as how clean your technique is, and will really determine what level of designer you'll become. Alright, so that's about it. I'm gonna say, give it a shot. Doesn't have to be great, but I think it's gonna be pretty good. See you next time.